talk about, though, it being a partnership, trying to find this language of partnership rather than, as you mentioned, colonialism, where it was our own culture being forced onto people at the same time. I mean, and I know I'm not giving an exact definition of a colonialism, but you really try to frame the conversation and it's to our benefit to partner with other people out around the world, because that really does extend, as Jackson Wu told me, it extends our mirrors, so that we can see more around us and behind us. The more that we interact with people of different ethnicities and culture, our vision of God grows. Why is it so important, though? I mean, yes, we have these blind spots, but what have you found those blind spots to be? Eric, you want to take a swing at that?
I mean, there's so many of them, and every culture is going to have blind spots. I think that's part of the challenge is to for people to not be offended by that. We all have to reckon with the fact that they're there, and we're not born with them. They become just a part of that we're shaped by all of our education, our experiences, who raised us, where we were raised. And I tell a story in the Kingdom chapter about that it wasn't until I was 21 years old in a different country that I realized that I had never really been around Christians that were from different parts of the world, almost not at all, and then not been influenced by very many people who didn't come from my community and didn't have the same skin color. And so I think we all have to just be able to acknowledge, whether it's related to race or issues of engaging with different kinds of people or other divisive things that can polarize, that we all have blind spots. Some of those come from our Western education, but a great deal of it just comes from our experiences in life. And I think the three of us would say that one of the greatest gifts that God has given us is that cross-cultural engagement that we've been able to have in so many different times in our lives that has widened our worldview, while at the same time, we've grown deeper in our faith and we've grown deeper in our commitment to the church. So it's not as if that widening of our worldview has watered down our faith. It's done quite the opposite. We've seen that our brothers and sisters in Christ from different contexts can help us see our blind spots and see things through a new lens. And I think that's important, that we're not trying to communicate when we talk about marginalized voices, that just because someone's marginalized, then automatically everything they say is right. Everybody has a blind spot, but that partnership really helps us, I think, sharpen each other on all sides. And rather than seeing our brothers and sisters in Christ from the majority world, from the developing world, whichever term you want to use, the global South, rather than seeing them as our little brothers and sisters, we see them as equals. We see them as having just as much to offer as we do. And then there are some areas where the American church is kind of drowning and struggling because of our blind spots. Well, maybe they're the exact fresh voice we need to hear to help us identify where some of those areas of course correction can be found. And then in a partnership, we can do the same for them in some areas.